Steven Norris, thanks for joining us here at we're at the CIHT conference today. Now, the whole conference today is about managing a world of transport in uncertain times. Now, you're managing, or you're part of Zach Goldsmith's mayoral team for obviously the mayoral elections in London. To what extent do you think that uncertainty around the change of mayor in London is really going to impact investment in highways?
I don't know if it'll impact investment, but I do think we could be in for quite a considerable change. I mean, Zach has always been a committed environmentalist, and what he's basically saying is, look, there are two greatest sources of emissions are traffic and, of course, domestic emissions. And we've got to crack both. Domestic emissions is a matter of retrofitting all of the energy-saving devices that will actually save people money. But transport is about real change. It's not just about EVs and hybrids rather than diesel or petrol. It's also about looking at new distribution patterns, taking trucks maybe out of the daytime traffic. It means a lot more pedestrianisation, in my view. There are some people who won't like that. But in general, that's a great way of cleaning the air, and opportunities like going all the way, for example, from Trafalgar Square to Oxford Street without having to encounter
So do you think that this sector should be thinking more carefully about what the implications of a change in administration at GLA is going to bring with it?
Well, put it this way: when I first stood, the issues in London were transport, but they meant a tube, the railway, and policing. Now they are actually housing, big change, but that's of course all about transport and connectivity, and it's about air quality. Wow, guess what that's about? So I think this is, whether it's Sadiq Khan or Zach Goldsmith, whoever's the new mayor, you are likely to see more radical change than we've seen so far.
And I suppose one of the issues around highways and transportation right now is the transformation of the industry to embrace new digital technologies, to embrace data. Do you think this industry needs to think more carefully about how it's actually going to raise its game, change its skill base to meet that challenge?
Well, I'm on the board of Cubic Corporation, who run the Oyster card system in London, but we also, of course, through our subsidiary ITMS, run about a quarter of London's traffic systems, surface traffic, and there was a deliberate reason for that. It's about being able to put surface traffic data together with public transport data and sophisticated analytics to start giving you, the traveller, much more confidence in the journey that you're going to make, to warn you of when it's not going to be possible, to find you alternatives and so on. Now, this has been the holy grail of technology for quite a long time, but we're getting much, much closer to it now. And I suspect over the next couple of mayoral terms, you'll see that evolve into something really outstanding.
So perhaps whereas now the focus is on concrete tunnel linings for Crossrail, perhaps in the future it's going to be more about data, releasing data, making more data available to do cleverer things.
I think it's exactly right. The intelligent traveller.
On a wider view, we've heard a lot today about the challenges of getting investment into local road networks. Big talk around subnational networks to actually bring in, I suppose, more investment into city regions around the UK. I mean, how's that going to help?
Well, my view is that subnational bodies, or city regional bodies, we want to call them that, are a good way to go ahead. And the reason for that is because in these city regions, you really have to plan transport on a pan-regional basis. One of the great failings at the moment is that so many of the places outside London don't do that. However, be careful. Be careful what you wish for, if you like. Devolution is terrific, but with devolution, remember, comes responsibility. The problem is it's the man at the Treasury who still controls the money. So let's see the money come into local transport authorities first, to give them the confidence that a regional or a sub-regional body will actually work.
Because it's about financial or fiscal devolution as well as power.
It's got to be fiscal devolution along with the powers that we're going to develop.
So I've heard you also, I think it was a conference recently, you were talking about the great that we've got a lot of spending going on a national level, but that can really undermine the spending on a local level. I mean, is that still a problem?
Yeah, it's a big problem for me. I mean, we've got some great progress being made on a 5-year funding plan for Highways England, just as we have incidentally on the railway. We've got the National Infrastructure Commission. All this is very good, but this is at the big project level. Go to the local authorities and they will tell you that every year governments of all persuasions give them more responsibilities and less money. And I really worry about that and its implications for local transport.
Right. How do we wrestle in more private finance into the transport sector? Should we be going back to some good old PFI schemes that actually bring in more investment?
Well, if you want to get private capital in, you've got to reward that capital. You don't have to reward it with massive percentage profits because it's a long-term capital investment generally. But that means tolling. Why do I think about tolling? Why do I think it's now inevitable? Well, because you're in a situation where fuel duty is falling off a cliff.
Yeah.
The next car you buy will be twice as fuel efficient as the one you just traded in, if not more so. And with driverless and connected vehicles and so on, the EV is going to be the vehicle of the future. So, how then are you going to replace the £30 billion that fuel duty raises? Classic answer, switch from taxing fuel, start taxing mobility, and in the process, open up the market for private investment in roads. You know it makes sense.
You heard it here first. Thanks a lot, Steve. Thanks for your time again.
Pleasure.
Thanks.